What's up, family? I'm Nathalie Nelson Parker, author, entrepreneur, mom, but most of all, world changer.
How did your brand start?
That question is funny because I never really considered myself a brand. Or when people say or think that I'm an influencer, I always find that funny because that's not necessarily how I see myself. I just know that throughout my life, have been called and thrust upon into leadership in ways that I was just being myself. And the older I got and the more that I worked with and for people, I realized that the best thing I can offer to the world and to others is to be my authentic self. So it really just started with me having things that I wanted to say, nuggets I wanted to share, and turning on the camera and saying those things, not realizing how much it impacted and helped people. I remember one time I had posted about, I was like doing a photo shoot, little Leon was just born, and he refused to put on pants. So we're taking family pictures and his boy is walking around with a saggy diaper. And so I remember posting about, sometimes everything that looks cute is not what it really is. And I talked about being a mom and trying to balance it all. And I remember one lady, I don't know who she is, we ran into each other at an event, and she talked about, you don't know how much that post helped me. And so thank you if you consider this a brand or you consider what we're doing a brand, but really it's, for me, creating community and speaking to the hearts and minds and giving inspiration and insights to women like me who are simply trying to change the world in the ways that they're called to do that. Whether it's through your family, whether it's through ministry, whether it's through your nonprofit, your small business, and really being able to offer and help accelerate somebody else's life by sharing the stories. And, the wins and the losses so that they could be able to learn, grow, and excel and thrive in the way that you desire to. So if that's a brand, it started because y'all had questions and I had something to say. The simple answer to it.
Yeah. So from this call, this brand, when did you say, okay, now it's time for me to go full-time entrepreneur, do this for real, and really just hone in on it alone?
Yeah, I think a lot of times, particularly whether you're a woman in leadership, whether you're a man in leadership, whether you're an employee, however it is that you're called to serve, there are moments where you look around and you realize your environment cannot contain all that is inside of you. And in those moments, I believe it's spirit, I believe it's even your family, your ancestors pushing you to go deeper. It's like that passage of scripture when Jesus calls to Peter and tells him to come meet him in the deep, right? There's a lot of fear and anxiety. I think the problem is when people get that call to go in the deep, they let fear stop them. Where Jesus perfectly tells and gives him the framework of what it means to go. Keep your eyes on me. That's all you got to do. And so I noticed that because I am a starter, I would innovate, start things for companies, start them as an employee. And when the thing grows, then I become a target. And I think that was just a reflection of God preparing me to be okay with starting my own thing. I didn't know, right? I didn't know that I was going to be an entrepreneur. I went to seminary because your girl thought she was going to be a traditional pastor wearing robes. I didn't know, but I had to keep my eye on God and just walk the journey. And so after leaving 6 figures in New York, answering my call to ministry, and then starting nonprofit programs, starting conferences, everything I started ministries, and they all grew exponentially. Then I learned the problem is not me. The problem really is not being in the right environment for me to be my full authentic self. And so when we had the opportunity to start our national initiative, and I saw that it grew to the fullest capacity, then I started thinking to myself, wait a minute, if you could do it, if you did it in New York, if you did it for a summer camp, if you did it for a church, if like all of these different industries, why aren't you betting on yourself? And so that's when I started becoming more creative and betting on me in the business. And it started simple with the book, I Love My Future HBCU, speaking engagements. Then it grew to consulting. Then it grew to direct-to-consumer products. And when we did our first 6 figures, then I realized, oh, I can actually do this full time. And so I made the goal of, I'm gonna go full time when I be able to replace my salary. And it's been 3 years, and thanks be to God, and thanks to my husband and my family and the team. You know, we're a small team, but I'm so blessed that God, why am I crying with this question? I'm so blessed that God has always placed the right people in my life at the right time, that even though we may not see the full capacity of what we're growing into, there are people who believe and have the same values and the same vision of impacting people's lives to be able to grow with us and for others. So I'm really grateful for that.
That's something to be grateful for. So helping other people, you love to help other people. Can you talk about how your figuring of, if I can do this for me, I can do it for you, how that birthed and blossomed? Can you talk to that?
Yeah. So I'm gonna take it even further back. So now that I'm sitting here, I realize that my entrepreneurial journey, even though I didn't have the language to know that I was an entrepreneur, started before me. So my grandfather in Jamaica is an entrepreneur. He owned a shop, and he owned most of the properties in the district where my father's family is from. And so that is kind of like in my DNA as a Jamaican. And then growing up, my father was a mechanic. He had a tire shop. He employed all my brothers. And then my auntie had a shop. I remember I was probably like 11, 12, and I would sweep hair in her salon. And I think subconsciously as a kid, I saw kind of a pattern of what it meant to not only be a business owner, but to create family legacy. And so I think that was inside of me a lot. I just didn't have the understanding to like put that into words or practice. And I think that example of what it means to help people, to serve communities, to serve clients, to serve your family, right? Like to work for your dad, to work for your auntie, that's not a simple thing. And then my experience with seeing my mom work in church. And we all know my mama loved church. So I think it's that example of servitude, of really serving people, loving people, meeting people's needs. Of course, connected to my relationship with God and relationship with church and community and family. I think it's the highest honor we can give each other is to serve. And there's so much, and I don't say serve as, you put people before you, but there's so much reward from that type of relationship. So I think that's where my desire and commitment to be with people, to serve people, to help people. The second thing is, you never know how much sharing a piece of information or insight is going to change the trajectory of people's lives. And the more that I live into that and the more that I see it, the more that I learn to be abundant in giving information. Like to sit in a conversation with somebody for an hour and they tell you, listen, that strategy changed the game. I hit I have one person on Funding Friday that we just had. She said, we did $75,000 in 1 quarter. She said, that's more than my salary at my job. Simply because I took the time to just share what I knew. That, to me, I think is legacy. Yeah. It's okay for me to make 6 figures, but how many people is growing beyond 6 figures because of the community that we're building with each other?
That's good. That's good. How do you want to be defined? Like when you think of...
I don't want to be defined. I don't. I feel like I've spent a lot of my early years, particularly in my 20s, trying to live into the expectations of what other people had of me and for me. And I feel like in this season in my life, I don't want boxes or definitions or this is what it has to be. I want the freedom to be creative. I want the freedom to live authentically and freely, and to really live a life that feels good and is good, right? Because sometimes we have bad days or off times that feelings are fleeting. I would say instead of defined, what do I want my legacy to be? Would be Nathalie Nelson Parker cares about people and creates the type of community where transformation lives. That's what I want my legacy to be. I don't want anyone, client, friend, family, foe, for those who are following, for those who are part of the community, I really want them to be able to see the possibilities of what their life and organizations could be and be transformed to become that. What's up, family? It's your girl, Nathalie Nelson Parker, and I am a world changer.